Good evening and welcome to all. We'll call the order to the meeting of the Knox County Commission on this Monday, December 21st, 2020. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Madam Clerk, I think you're on mute.
Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner Lundy,
Here.
Commissioner Darrett,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Ward,
Here.
Commissioner Schoonmaker,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Bustler,
Here.
Commissioner Beeler,
Here.
Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Jay,
Here.
Commissioner Biggs.
Present.
All members are present.
Thank you very much. First thing I'd like to do is state that this commission meeting has been publicly noticed as an electronic meeting under the authority granted this body by Tennessee Governor Bill Lee in Executive Order number 65, which outlines the remote meetings and implementation of best practices across the state to promote transparent government while protecting the health and safety of citizens and government officials. Copy of that Executive Order number 65 can be found online on the commission agenda page. Now I'll entertain a motion to accept this determination by Governor Lee and conduct this meeting electronically. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
First by Commissioner Lundy, second by Commissioner Durrett. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
We're starting with Commissioner Ward.
Here.
Commissioner Ward votes aye. Commissioner Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Commissioner Schoonmaker votes aye. Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill votes aye. Commissioner Bustler,
Aye.
Commissioner Bustler votes aye. Commissioner Beeler,
Aye.
Commissioner Beeler votes aye. Commissioner Daly,
Aye.
Commissioner Daly votes aye. Commissioner Jay,
Aye.
Commissioner Jay votes aye. Commissioner Biggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Biggs votes aye. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy votes aye. Commissioner Darrett,
Aye.
Commissioner Darrett votes aye. Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith votes aye. All members present voting aye.
Thank you very much. I'd like to turn the meeting over now to Commissioner Lundy for our devotional. Commissioner Lundy?
Thank you, Chairman Jay. I do have a guest that's doing our devotional. It's Reverend Calvin Taylor Skinner. He's a close friend of mine, very passionate about Knoxville. He's the founder of One Knox Legacy. Some of you may know his dad, Pastor Skinner of Mount Zion Baptist Church. So I want to turn it over to Calvin. Are you on there? Rob, is he in the room?
Can you repeat his name, please?
Calvin Skinner.
We just let him in. Give us another second or so.
Okay, thank you.
Good pledge.
Hello, how you doing, Mr. Skinner?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you.
You can go ahead and do your part.
All right. First of all, let me share my appreciation to our commissioner of the first district, Commissioner Dr. Daisha Lundy, for this invitation, and to the county mayor, to the other county commissioners, to my fellow residents of Knox County. Again, I am grateful to share in this conversation and a moment of reflection and being intentional to focus on what is driving me and what is helping me through this season in particular. As we recognize this is the winter solstice, and also this aligns with the great conjunction where Saturn and Jupiter are closer than they've ever been since 1623. There's a particular alignment that is not lost on me, and recognizing this opportunity to recognize this alignment. I want us to really focus on what we can anticipate and what we can embrace in this coming season. It is in my faith tradition we recognize the Advent season. This Advent season celebrates the manifestation of God with us, Emmanuel. We also celebrate within the Black community after Christmas, Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa expresses within our tradition, in our community, the ability to be creative in creating more traditions as we, as a Black community, seek to rediscover those traditions that has been lost. We also, in the Black community, recognize New Year's. Of course, for many, New Year's, January 1, is a time where folks gather together and celebrate with libations or house parties. But within the Black church tradition, we gather in New Year's Eve, going into New Year's, what we call a watch night, which commemorates and celebrates the anticipation of the Emancipation Proclamation going into full effect, which was January 1, 1863. All of this to say that for me and this time and season, I recognize the alignment, especially expressed through the legacy of the church I have the great opportunity to serve with, along with my father, Reverend Johnny William Skinner Sr. at Mount Zion Baptist Church, where we are celebrating 160 years of this church and this institution. 1860 was the year that this church was founded, before the emancipation. And we are grateful to celebrate those ancestors who did not wait for an invitation to be free, but they found it that it was necessary to create their own agency and own way of establishing this institution to express their faith. This is helpful as, again, we seek to embrace the alignment coming to the season for my church family, Mount Zion, demonstrates a legacy of embracing the justice mandate, which is important for us to think about even in this moment. The legacy of those people that I even come to know to embrace the justice mandate came out of Mount Zion, such as Mr. Mark Brown, who was the first Black vice mayor of the city of Knoxville, and Miss Sarah Moore Green, who served on the county school board as the first Black woman to serve in that capacity. These folks, and also I must share Miss Lois White, who became the first Black national president of the Parent Teachers Association. These persons embrace the justice mandate necessary to embrace in this season to really bring about the necessary shift that is needed to bring healing and wholeness in our community. Our legacy also speaks to those ancestors who were able to embrace who they were and how they should move even in this nation, when even on the Emancipation Proclamation Day, they didn't even get a care package to go about and move successfully. But nevertheless, this justice mandate that those trailblazers embrace really speaks to how we can continue to show resiliency and how we can align to what God desires of us as elected officials, as community leaders, and as fellow residents of this county. I will also say that I'm proud of Mount Zion, and even in the midst of urban renewal, which has headlines recently through the vice mayor of the city, Gwen McKenzie, as urban removal, Mount Zion, in the previous location in the center of our city, still lays a vacant lot, which for me represents even still now the empty promises. But yet, if we embrace the justice mandate, we know that there are promises that can even be fulfilled in this season. For scripture points that we are even co-facilitators in the opportunity to embrace this justice mandate that uplifts those who have been pushed down, to empower those who feel disempowered. And this text found in Isaiah 40 speaks to a voice calling out in the wilderness. And in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, Isaiah shares. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain and hill made low. The rough ground shall become level, the rugged places a plain, and the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all people will see it together. So this is our opportunity as elected officials, as community leaders, to embrace the justice mandate that calls us to be co-facilitators in embracing this alignment and shift. And there are those who even now demonstrate, those individuals and those organizations. If we need one or any examples, these organizations such as Sleeves for Needs and Black Coffee Justice, the Alliance House, the East Tennessee Community Defense, the Women LLC, in which our commissioner, Dr. Daisha Lundy, also serves with. These are examples of those who embrace the justice mandate in this season of alignment. And I pray now, as you all go forth, that you will continue to walk in wisdom, even in the midst of those issues and matters that are presented to us. I pray now, as our elected officials, that you go forth in power and in truth. I pray now that you all go forth understanding that you all are empowered to help make straight the path, as we need to become the model city for this nation and this world are desperately looking for those leaders who understand this justice mandate and understand that Knox County can be the model county for this nation. God bless you and God be with you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy, and thank you, Reverend Skinner. Commissioner Biggs, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'll salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Outlining the run of show for tonight, unless I hear any objections, here's how I intend to conduct tonight's meeting. First, we will set the agenda. Then we will hear an honorary resolution and presentation. And we'll move back onto public forum. Under our new rules, those wishing to speak on a specific agenda item will be heard first and all others at the end of the meeting. Although I think everybody is at the beginning of the meeting based on an agenda item list that I have. We have over 30 people signed up, and given that, I recommend we put the time limit at 3 minutes per person. Everybody was given instructions in advance that might be the case. Public forum will likely take us right up to our zoning meeting at 7 p.m. So this meeting would recess. We'd move to zonings, and once those items are heard, we'd reconvene this meeting and continue with the county business. As I've outlined tonight's run of show, do I hear any objections? Hearing or seeing none, let's proceed. We will set the agenda. Here are the amendments to the agenda. Additions include items number 3, 33, and 34. Additions are 3, 33, and 34. There are no withdrawals. Deferrals include 1, 4, 25, and 41. Once again, 1, 4, 25, and 41. Non-consent items include 2, 3, 5, 6, 32, 36, 39, and 40. Once again, those are non-consent items, which are 2, 3, 5, 6, 32, 36, 39, and 40. Is there any additional discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to set tonight's meeting agenda.
Excuse me, Commissioner.
Yes.
The proposed resolutions that the Board of Health, Dr. Buchanan's office sent to us, is that built in somewhere for?
No one has submitted anything regarding those.
Submitted.
Those would need to be a resolution, and I have not received any resolutions regarding that.
Oh, very well then.
Any other discussion about the agenda?
Motion to set the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Beeler. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bustler. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Yes.
Commissioner Schoonmaker votes aye. Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill votes aye. Commissioner Bustler.
Yes.
Commissioner Bustler votes aye. Commissioner Beeler.
Aye.
Commissioner Beeler votes aye. Commissioner Daly.
Aye.
Commissioner Daly votes aye. Commissioner J.
Aye.
Commissioner J votes aye. Commissioner Biggs. Commissioner Biggs.
He's in the restroom.
Also, Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy votes aye. Commissioner Darrett.
Aye.
Commissioner Darrett votes aye. Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith votes aye. Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward votes aye. Is Commissioner Biggs back? Okay.
Not yet.
We have 10 aye votes.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wondering, to speed things along tonight, I believe our rules allow this. If people who wish to speak at public forum speak before the item is heard from commission, since a lot of these relate to the Board of Health, we could get to a lot of these items before we get to that particular resolution.
So you're suggesting that everybody that is here for public forum related to the, I think it's item number 40, would talk closer to when we talk about item 40?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I don't think that's anything that we've conveyed to them, and I guess I'm hesitant because we told them to be ready at 5, not to be ready at 8 or 8:30, because the county business will take up a better portion than we've got zoning. So I just assume do it at the beginning.
Okay, Chair, just throwing out a suggestion.
Hill?
I appreciate what you both have said, were we to do that, Commissioner Smith, I'm wondering how that would fit with the total 1 hour before. I'm afraid that we might become very skewed, but I support your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and we haven't set an hour before, hour after. I mean, I just said it as we would go through public forum, and that would take us right up to it. So let me just announce the vote on the agenda. Passes is set at 10-0. And thank you for the suggestion. I think given that there's so many people that are on and ready to go, I'm going to proceed as planned. The first part of our agenda is the honorary resolution, and I want to thank you all for signing on to this. This is one that I appreciate everybody jumping on, and regardless of where.
Mr. Chairman, somebody's mic.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Your volume is too low.
Okay, I think everybody on the Zoom call can hear me, but if people in the room of the main assembly can't hear me, I can't do anything about that.
We have several commissioners who don't have their mics on mute.
I hear you now. I mean, you were really low, but I can hear you now.
Okay. Rob, do you have any issue? Do you hear me?
Mr. Bustle, yours is still active mic.
Chairman, I think you're okay to go now.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to honorary resolutions. I want to thank everybody for signing on to this, and I'm going to ask the clerk to read this resolution. But what I was getting to is saying, regardless of where your politics are, the reason for this resolution is really to send a massive congratulations and appreciation to our team at the Knox County Election Commission and to all the poll workers who just conducted this last national election. So, Madam Clerk, would you please read this honorary resolution in its entirety?
This is Resolution R-20-12-102. It's a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, honoring the Knox County Election Commission, staff, and poll workers. Whereas elections are the foundation of our democracy, and election officials work tirelessly to protect this critical infrastructure while maintaining public confidence in the outcome of our electoral process. Whereas the most fundamental principle defining credible elections is that they must reflect the free expression of the will of the people, and to achieve this, elections should be transparent, inclusive, and accountable, and there must be equitable opportunities to complete in the elections. And whereas election workers provide an invaluable function to our country and are one of the United States' most valuable resources. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic created complexities in the administration of election, requiring officials to conduct accurate and timely elections while protecting the safety of election workers and the voting public. And whereas Knox County, and indeed all of Tennessee and the United States, experienced a record election turnout with early voting, absentee ballots, and in-person voting. And whereas Knox County's election team supported 222,028 voters, an increase of 17% over the previous record set in November 2008. And whereas Knox County's election team included 225 early voting workers with 13 election officers, 867 election day workers with 79 election officers, 8 members of the nursing home election team, 51 members of the absentee ballot counting board, 23 members of the provisional ballot counting board, 27 utility election team members, 7 full-time election staff members, 4 election machine technicians, the Knox County elections administrator, and the 5 members of the Election Commission Board. And whereas additional election support was provided by the Knox County IT Department, Knox County Sheriff's Office, Knox County Schools, Public Building Authority, United States Postal System, the University of Tennessee, Knox County Senior Centers, and the Knox County Health Department. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of Knox County as follows. The Commission of Knox County hereby honors the Knox County Election Commission, election staff, and poll workers for their dedication to free and fair elections and exemplary service to the citizens of Knox County. Be it further resolved that copy of this resolution be presented to Chris Davis, Knox County Elections Administrator. Be it further resolved that this resolution is to take effect from and after its passage as provided by the Charter of Knox County, Tennessee, the public welfare requiring it.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would like to make the motion to approve this. We'll take the vote and then we'll invite Mr. Chris Davis to address us. So I will make a motion to approve this honorary resolution and ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schoonmaker. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill votes aye. Commissioner Bustler?
Yes.
Commissioner Bustler votes aye. Commissioner Beeler?
Aye.
Commissioner Beeler votes aye. Commissioner Daly?
Aye.
Commissioner Daly votes aye. Commissioner J?
Aye.
Commissioner J votes aye. Commissioner Biggs?
Aye.
Commissioner Biggs votes aye. Commissioner Lundy?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy votes aye. Commissioner Darrett?
Aye.
Commissioner Darrett votes aye. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith votes aye. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Ward votes aye. Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Aye.
Commissioner Schoonmaker votes aye. All members present voting aye.
Thank you very much for voting that honorary resolution. I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Chris Davis, our Administrator of Elections for Knox County, with our appreciation. Mr. Davis?
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. First off, on behalf of all of the nearly 1,000 people that work for the Election Commission in some form or fashion for early voting, for Election Day, for absentee voting, for provisional ballot counting, and for the myriad number of duties that we had to undertake, I want to thank Knox County Commission and Chairman Jay for this recognition. This has been a very tough year, and despite that, despite being in the middle of a pandemic, despite having to introduce a brand new paper-based voting system, and despite probably the most contentious election, certainly that I've been a part of in my adult life, we still were able to not only conduct a safe election, but break records with regard to total number of voters, early voting, far and away the most absentee ballots we've ever had in Knox County, not even a close second. And it was, with all of that said, it was tough. And I think there are four things I just want to touch on real quick that I think made it a successful year. Number one, we needed a plan, and we put a plan together. And I am not exaggerating when I say we spent hundreds of hours working on a plan to not only make sure that folks got voted, but that we implemented this new voting system, making sure that everybody had adequate time to vote and space to vote and room to vote. But also that we did so safely and that we kept our workers safe, which was, we wanted to keep voters safe. We wanted to keep workers safe, particularly in these pandemic times. Number two, after having a plan, we needed a great team. We have a fantastic team. And on behalf of myself, I want to thank all of those people who are watching, who are members of those team. I know there are a lot of, all of them obviously are our constituents of one or more of y'all. I want to thank them for their service. They did an amazing job under really tough circumstances. Number three, just to be blunt, we got very lucky. Just in the last week and a half, I've had 5 cases of COVID in my office. I did not have a single case from June 1 through Thanksgiving, not a single one. We kept our distance, we kept our masks on, we used the hand sanitizer, the whole 9 yards to do everything we could. And then, in early voting, 14 days of early voting, and any of you who know me know that I preach early voting for every election. We had 1 day of rain out of 14 days of early voting. So we were blessed with good weather. And so we got a little bit lucky. But the last thing I want to touch on, besides having a plan, having a great team, and having a little bit of luck, is having community support. And the last part of that resolution that Ms. Ellis read really touched on it for me, because I think a lot of times when someone goes in to cast his or her ballot, they think, okay, it's sweet old folks who work the polls at the election place. And it is the folks who work the polls at the election place, but it's so much more. It's Knox County's IT department who did a fantastic job of making sure that core voter registration information stayed safe and that we were able to get up and get everything running on time and safely every day. It was the sheriff's department making sure that we could transport things to and from polling places safely. It was a school system. As you know, we have 54 different facilities that we vote in on election day that are schools. Being able to work with Knox County schools They're really, really great to work with, helping us figure out all the logistics of making sure that we were able to vote while we're still able to keep the school activities at arm's length. Public Building Authority was great in helping us get absentee ballot space. As you know, I've talked about this many times. In a typical presidential election, we'd have about 6,000 people, give or take, that voted absentee. We had almost 21,000 in this election. So we needed more space. We needed more materials. The PBA was really great in helping us to get that. And then, certainly not least, but I'll just mention these last in closing, is the health department on very short notice with the thousands of other things they have going on, helped us set up a COVID-19 voting site to help folks be able to vote on election day that otherwise would have either been quarantined or tested positive that would not have had a chance to exercise their right to vote. And last thing I just wanted to touch on is obviously we voted 222,000 people. I just found this out yesterday. Over 40,000 of those folks were first-time voters. And obviously that lends a little bit to the election itself, but I think that's really exciting for me as an administrator to be able to say that we have 40,000 folks in this election who voted for the first time in this election, and they were able to, by and large, do so safely. So once again, in closing, I want to thank Commission, number one, for what you do, and for allowing us some time to come up tonight and speak. I want to thank Commissioner Jay for this resolution and all the members of the Commission for this resolution. And I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. We really appreciate all of you and everything you all do. We'll make sure to sign a copy of this resolution and send it over to the office, and so you can present it to your team and show their appreciation on behalf of all of us here on Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on into our agenda. We have one presentation tonight. This is item number 3 on your agenda. This is a presentation regarding the Knox County Rescue Funding. And we have 3 speakers related to this. We're going to start with Mr. Jeff Bagwell. Then we'll go to Mr. Wayne Wagner, and then we will follow up with Dwight Vandevate on behalf of the mayor's office. And that will be our presentation. So Mr. Bagwell, I will turn it over to you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Sure, Jeff. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission. I appreciate it. My name is Jeff Bagwell, Public Information Officer for Rural Metro Fire 160 North Campbell Station Road in Farragut. Just giving our monthly report for the Rural Metro Fire Department. Our engine companies responded in November to 902 medical first responder calls, 86 car crashes, 81 residential structure fires, 10 commercial structure fires or alarms, 9 hazardous material incidents, 212 special duty assignments, that's your lift assistive, your invalid care people, and smoke investigations and such, 282 still assignments, which is your car fires, for a total of 1,582. With regards to residential fires, we responded to properties valued at over $4 million and had a loss of only $186,585. So when you calculate that out, that means that we saved approximately 95% of the structure value that we responded to. If you've ever wondered what the busiest fire station is in Knox County, then it is Halls. Station 30 has it. They are the busiest, followed by Farragut and then Powell. If you ever wondered what the busiest times of the day are, they are 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. with the slowest times, of course, from midnight until 7 a.m. From the fire prevention side, with our partnership with Knox County, we added 3 new educational videos on our YouTube media library. We had over 11,000 views for the month, representing 1,243 hours of program time, logging 80,000 impressions. We additionally had 6 in-person events that had approximately 1,600 contact hours in total. And we also conducted 6 virtual programs utilizing Skype or Zoom platforms. Total contacts via all the conduits was approximately 13,100. Support across Knox County remains at about the same average, as far as 47 to 48%. With it being December and right in the middle of the holiday season, as well as fire season, we thought it might be appropriate to share some fire facts for the month of December. The U.S. fire departments respond to an average of 770 home structure fires per year that began with decorations, excluding Christmas trees. These fires cause an annual average of 2 civilian fire deaths, 30 civilian fire injuries, and $11 million in direct property loss, which affects the taxable property value. Electrical distribution or lighting equipment was involved in almost half of those fires, 45% of all home Christmas tree fires. 60% of the candle fires started when something that could burn, such as furniture, bedding, curtains, or decorations, were too close to the candle. Candle fires peak in December, with 12% of all home fires starting from candles. And lastly, for those candle lovers out there, Christmas Day is the peak day for candle fires, with almost 3 times the daily average. Don't want to be gloom and doom during this holiday season, but please urge your folks to very simply be careful and be smart with those decorations. Lastly, please remember that our doors are always open to you guys, and we solve lots of problems around the kitchen table and the coffee pot. Thank you very much. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bagwell. We appreciate that. We will turn it over now to Mr. Wagner. Mr. Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Knox County Commission, for allowing us some time to talk about funding for Knox County Rescue. Most of you know, within the last 6 months, there was an MOU signed by Knox County Rescue and Knox County government, approved funding from July 1 of 2020 to December 31st of 2020. And on the 14th of this month, I had the honor of speaking to Knox County Commission at the workshop, and was asked about the MOU, and we have asked that the MOU be expanded and extended for at least 12 months instead of what the committee's recommendation is, 6 months on the renewal. After reviewing the document that the White Vandevate has sent out from the Fire and Technical Rescue Committee, it seems that Knox County Rescue again is looking at a 6-month renewal instead of a 12-month renewal. And I have one question, since the White's going to be on here. One of the questions that I've been asked by the officers of the rescue squad is why in the Fire Rescue Technical Committee's committee recommendations that there is a committee that's being set up, but there's no rules for that committee. And we would like to see rules for that committee before the MOU is ever signed to develop that committee. So I hope that someone will consider that before they put the whole committee together. And a memo from Dwight to the county commissioners and Mayor Jacobs, he states that the committee does recommend renewing all first responders MOU for the balance of FY21 and at the current funding levels. Assuming commission approves this request, all the agencies will be funded June 30th through June 30th, and funding will be provided for the 3 emergency agencies listed in MOU. First, I want to thank you all for the 6-month renewal. That's very important, but it's very difficult for the Knox County Rescue Board of Directors to be able to put together a functioning budget on a 6-month basis. And again, we would ask that consideration be given to 12-month funding. We hope you give consideration to that and right into December 31st of 2021. And again, at the 14th meeting, Knox County Rescue was asked to provide commission with a 90-day total expenditure sheet, which we have done. And at the conclusion of my time, I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I also like to remind you all that under the advisory memorandum published by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security on identification of essential critical infrastructure workers during COVID-19, and under the heading of law enforcement, public safety, and other first responders, bullet number 1 states fire and rescue services, search and rescue personnel are listed as essential critical infrastructure workers during COVID-19 response. Our folks have been working very hard along with the fire department to protect our folks in this community that have to deal with COVID-19. The Knox County Rescue has continued to provide service without interruption despite the looming lack of funding. The men and women of Knox County Rescue remain here for the citizens of Knox County. The vast majority of Knox County Rescue members volunteer their time, skills in service to Knox Countyans. We're just now asking for some reciprocation of that service and support. Thank you for your time to speak in support of Knox County Rescue. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. I'm not
Thank you,
seeing,
Mr. Chairman.
so I'm going to ask Dwight Vandevate. Actually, Mr. Wagner, if you would just state your address for the record as well, please.
Okay, 7804 Gracemont Boulevard, Knoxville.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Vandevate, if you would join us, and you have the virtual podium, sir, on behalf of the mayor's office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of commission. If I could just confirm, I hope that all members of commission have received and had a chance to review the report of the Fire and Technical Rescue Committee. And what I might do is go through some of the highlights of that report, and in doing so, I'll address some of Mr. Wagner's concerns, and then we'll be glad to answer any questions that commission might have.
And if you would, just both of you state your name and address for the, or just name and department for the record. You don't need to.
Vandevate, Chief Operating Officer for Knox County, Miracle and Jacobs.
Jenny Holden, Director of Knox County Community Development.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Dwight.
Yes, sir. Hopefully all of you have had an opportunity to review the report. The Fire and Technical Rescue Committee was formed in March of 2020 for the purpose of providing guidance to the mayor for his budget proposal to commission for FY21 for the current fiscal year. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic interrupted that, and we were unable to meet as a group more than once and begin the process. So we recommended to commission, and commission approved 6-month memorandum of understanding to keep the agencies funded at 100% of their requested level for the first half of the fiscal year, to give the committee the opportunity to do its work. That has worked out fine for us, and the committee was able to meet on a number of occasions. The committee was able to interview all of the first responder chiefs, including Knox County Rescue, Karnes Fire, and Seymour Volunteer Fire Department, and had some additional time for internal meetings and conversations as well. And out of that came this report and the recommendations that you have before you. You've seen the background research and the statistics. I'm not going to review those for commission. You've got them. We'll be glad to answer any questions at your leisure. I'd rather focus on what I see are the key components, which are the recommendations of the committee to commission. First and foremost, we recommend full funding for the balance of FY21 for all of the agencies at the same level at which they're presently funded, and that does include Knox County Rescue. And we plan to have those memorandum before commission at the January meeting. Would remind commission that these are reimbursable. They are reimbursable on a quarterly basis. So the agencies, even if we had them before you at this month, they actually would not submit requests for reimbursement until April 1st of 2021. So they are all required to pre-fund their year. So they'll request reimbursement on a quarterly basis, but they do report data to us that we share with commission on a monthly basis. So first and foremost, everyone's funding is recommended uninterrupted for the balance of FY21. 2 is a procedural change that would clarify some verbiage in the MOU that helps coordinate a more effective response within the fire service districts that are in the county. Number 3, which is, I think, the thing we'd really like to talk about today, is to take the concept that we've worked under this year, expand it, and make it a permanent standing committee of commission. We propose expanding the committee. One of the things we learned is we really cannot do this work without having our partners in emergency services at the table. So we propose to have not just those 3 that we fund, but also rural metro, a commissioner, because obviously a county commissioner is a key partner in this, representative from the mayor's office, health department, finance, and so forth. And you can see the composition of the committee as we propose it in the findings of the report. We really feel very strongly that that is a great direction for Knox County. These things have been dealt with on an informal or an ad hoc basis over time, and we think that it is time to deal with them in a more formal and structured way. And then fourth, and I'll come back to number 3 in a minute, but fourth, what we propose is under our current model, these agencies individually, Carnes, Seymour, and the rescue squad, come to the mayor's office and lobby for funding. These are separate one-off conversations that they will have, in some cases, I suppose, with commissioners. In other cases, they'll come to finance in the mayor's office and they'll make their case for funding and stipulate a request. And those requests have typically been granted, as you see in the report. One of the things that we found is a great need to change that model and actually have a collective conversation of all the emergency service providers at one time so that we can identify gaps in emergency services, so that we can get a better understanding of the capacities and capabilities of these agencies. Under our previous model, Rural Metro, who answers 87% of the calls for service in Knox County, wasn't even at the table. You only had those agencies who were requesting funding. So a key component of these recommendations in the committee as we propose it is it brings everybody to the table for an ongoing conversation about the state of emergency services in Knox County. And we can bring to commission and to the mayor a set of funding recommendations that is better informed, that has been collectively made and considered, and has all the stakeholders in the room at one time understanding their relationship with one another. The sort of ad hoc and one-off model that we've been using just isn't effective anymore. That does bring me, I wanted to address one of my friend, Mr. Wagner's questions. I will tell you that when Wayne Wagner speaks in emergency services, he is an E.F. Hutton. He is an old and dear friend. He was Knox County's first fire marshal. There aren't many of us in the room that are old enough to know that, but he was Knox County's first fire marshal. His is an opinion that matters. So we did a little bit more research after Wayne spoke last week. To the subject of rules, we propose this as a standing committee of commission. So it would be a very different environment. It would be, as all your other committees are, subject to the Open Meetings Act. We would observe Robert's Rules of Order. And then I would assume we would reach out to the clerk's office to take minutes. We would probably ask the law director's office to staff these meetings as well. So this would be a formal functioning committee or subcommittee of commission authorized by resolution. And so it has all the structure and framework that any other subcommittee of commission might have. In terms of concern over funding, while we share that, I am not sure that it is viable for us to enter an MOU that extends past the end of the 2021 fiscal year. You would be extending into a budget that does not yet exist. We would recommend against that. I would want everybody to know these are all good agencies. We will, as the mayor's office, on behalf of the mayor's office and on behalf of the former committee, and I would hope a reconstituted committee, we will look after the interests of these agencies, and we will not let them find themselves in an unmanageable or an untenable situation. I do think some difficult decisions may have to be made. If you look at the history of rescue squads, what might have made sense in the 1950s and 1960s may or may not make sense in 2020. That is a conversation that we as the mayor's office are not equipped to have on our own, but we certainly think that in this larger committee context with your major fire providers and the rescue squad there, that is the place to have those conversations. Again, as we mentioned in the report, one of the key takeaways was just the level of commitment that all of these agencies have. Each and every one of them is committed to their mission. Each and every one of them is committed to the same goal we have, that's to make Knox County as safe as possible. But we cannot continue with everybody existing in a vacuum and not together on the overall mission of public safety in Knox County. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. I think that sort of hits the highlights, but certainly be glad to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Van de Veen. Open the floor to questions if you'd like to enter in any or raise your hand in the participation section. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you. Dwight, I commend your work on this. I know this has not been an easy task, and I do absolutely support that it's a step in the right direction. Probably my one concern, and I'm certain that your group must have talked about this, is the idea of having all these entities come together, basically competing for the same dollars, because the ultimate goal is to take care of all of Knox County, no matter which end of the county you're living in, and recognizing that we have so many different models here, from a rescue squad that services the entire county to a small volunteer fire department that has its little corner of our community also, and having all this at the same table without entering into an extremely competitive spirit of everybody wanting to be sure they get their piece of the pie. I'm certain your committee must have kind of discussed what this dynamic could look like.
Yes, ma'am, we certainly have, and we don't underestimate the complexity of the landscape. Just a couple considerations. This recommendation is driven in part by the fact that this is the model that we have used for 15 years now for the Homeland Security District. And it is, while it may seem a little counterintuitive, it is surprisingly effective when the subject matter experts, and all of these agencies are the subject matter experts, come together and explain what they propose, where they see their gaps in capacity, where they see areas that they would like to grow, in a meeting of their peers, who will sometimes offer contradictory ideas, who will sometimes offer complementary ideas, who will sometimes offer opportunities for partnership. And it is a model that has served us well in Homeland Security for all these years. And frankly, it has a certain element of candor and honesty that we appreciate when as opposed to the individual meetings where people will come in and just talk strictly about their own agency. When everybody is there together and all cards are on the table and all the subject matter experts are there, there is a level of candor, and there is a level of directness and expertise that really it brings value. I'm assuming that my partner, Chris Caldwell, is on the line somewhere too. One of the other things I would mention is that when we come in, we know in any given year about what we are spending globally on emergency services. So we will start the agencies with an explanation that these are the dollars that we think we can recommend to County Commission for the upcoming fiscal year. How can we distribute these dollars most effectively? How can we maintain your viability? How can we maintain your viability? How can we make sure that everybody is able to continue to operate, and at the same time recognize the fact that there is a limited amount of money available to spend? And they're tough conversations. I don't mean to indicate that is not the case, but particularly in an open meeting context, as opposed to individual meetings coming into the mayor's office, it's a surprisingly productive model.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. I see hands up from Commissioner Biggs and Schoonmaker. Commissioner Biggs.
Thank you. When will this be meeting? Is this a quarterly meet? And when do you need our person that we would like to see serve on this board from commission.
Well, Commissioner, I am looking to you guys for direction. But this is our recommendation and the mayor does support it. If it's the will of the body, if I get the sense that commission supports this direction, we'll have a resolution to you in January. And obviously, with the fourth Monday in January approval, we'd probably start in February. And then I would think we would meet probably monthly initially. But I mean, again, this committee is going to have to come together. They'll elect a chair. They'll get guidance from the Law Director's Office on Open Meetings Act, public notice. I'll have to confer with the clerk. But if we sense that commission supports this approach, I'll have a resolution to you in January, and we'd like to have our first meeting in February.
Thank you, Director.
Yes, sir.
You're muted.
Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vanderveen, great presentation. Thank you. Just a clarification, did you say you were recommending that this be a standing committee of the commission?
Yes, sir. I would recommend, again, the report suggests the composition. Pretty straightforward, and it just guarantees that all the agencies are represented and that we have the staff support that we need. The mayor would, in effect, those nominations for the most part are pro forma because the chiefs are the chiefs, right? And the director of the Emergency Communications District is the director of the Emergency Communications District. Really, frankly, it would be his staff representative and his representative from community development would be the only sort of discretionary nominations. And then we would just assume commission would select their own designee to serve on the committee. So other than that, really, they're all just agency representatives.
Okay. Well, typically a standing committee is just members of commissioners only that serve on the standing committee, but we could certainly do it as a regular board and committee.
Yes, right. That's my error in the term of art, sir.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just want to clarify that. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dwight, I want to address one thing that Mr. Wagner spoke of, and I understand the need to do the 6-month funding while you're doing the analysis. And if you said this, I'm sorry I missed it, but starting with next fiscal year, will we go back to a yearly funding cycle to help them with their planning?
Yes, sir, absolutely. That was our intent this year. The mandate of the committee was to have a set of recommendations for all of FY21, and COVID happened and 2020 happened. And so we were just scrambling, and the best option seemed to be just to grab continuity for 6 months and give the committee a chance to work. And now we're trying to grab a little bit more continuity. We actually would probably take these out of MOUs and go back to defined service contracts. And they're 12-month contracts. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Lundy.
I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Wagner, did you get your questions answered? Did you have any suggestions?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I did get an email from your chief, and I just want to make sure that you're okay with what is being done.
Yeah, Dwight give the answers I wanted to hear on the committee. That's good, and I will carry it back. I don't think I addressed who I represent when I opened up, but I am the vice chair of the Knox County Rescue, and have been that now for about 6 months and enjoy it. Again, I've been around emergency services in Knox County since 1977. I know it don't look that old, but it's been a fun ride, and what you're trying to accomplish is something we tried back in the 80s. And so I have a little bit of knowledge about all that. And I'm glad Dwight and them are working on it very well. So thank you all. Thank you all for listening to us.
Yeah, thank you for your service also.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith and Lundy, have you guys both? Okay, you're all done. Thank you. All right, seeing no hands further, we don't have anything to vote on, but I would like to sort of push if anybody has any objection to Mr. Vanderveen proceeding with the formation of this, bringing a resolution in January, and then us going through the motions. I would say speak your objection now. Otherwise, we've all got the report, and I believe we should let them continue on with their work to a long-term resolution. So, and Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question about how we go about this. Does this need to come from the Rules Committee or just from the full commission?
I think that I'm pretty sure that we could just bring this directly. I don't think this has to go to rules first, but I could double check that offline, and we could either go through, if we needed to, we could go through rules first before it comes in here, but we could check that offline. Regardless, we wouldn't vote on anything till January, so we'll bring it in proper form. I can work with Mr. Vandeveen on that. Any other thoughts on this?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Daly, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I don't think it would have to come to the Rules Committee because a resolution that Dwight would bring forth would be in there that it would be a committee. So we'll double check, but I wouldn't think so.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Vandeveen, and thank you very much for bringing this good work to us. And please proceed. We will talk offline on how to bring it best before commission. Okay. Thank you very much. It is now finished on our presentations, and we will move into the first segment of public forum. I want to remind everybody who is about to speak that you have 3 minutes. Please keep an eye on the clock to respect everybody's time. Once the clock hits, I will jump in, and please wrap up your comments. I really do not want to get to a point where we have to mute somebody, but please focus your comments so we can get everybody an opportunity to speak today. I'm going to walk down the list of who I have in the first sort of block order. The first few would be Richard Cunningham, Casey Field, Mary Linda Schwartzbart, Charles Albawi, Ashley Capps, and Janet, it says Elisa G. I'm not exactly sure if that's two people or if that's a last name, but those of you who've heard your name, kind of be ready. Please be in the on deck circle, and our IT department will bring you in in that order. So we will start with Mr. Richard Cunningham. Mr. Cunningham, if you would please turn your camera on. Please state your name and your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission, sir.
Thank you. Richard Cunningham, Knox County. I first of all like to thank County Commission for this opportunity to address you. The public forum is certainly well appreciated. First, I'd like to express my support for the Sports Authority. This would be a wonderful addition to our city and county and something all citizens could rally around. It's truly a win-win. After 2020, that would be a wonderful thing. This segues nicely into my next topic. On the other hand, our Knox Board of Health has recommended canceling spring sports for Knox County schools. This would be 2 springs in a row that our children have been denied the opportunity to play. How much more are we going to put our kids through when they have little to no risk? This is simply unconscionable. Our Board of Health continues to double down on mandates and restrictions that have no basis or data to support them. In fact, at the last meeting, they were seeking mandate authority for surrounding counties and requesting yet another failed lockdown. They have continued to restrict restaurants, yet they have no data showing any viral contribution from them. For 5 months, this board has pushed mandates and actions, and they have clearly failed. They have spread fear and panic among our citizens. This fear has a direct effect on the health of our community. Despite your best efforts, this is a virus and it will spread. Some very prominent people, including in Knox County, who all follow the 5 core actions, have become infected. It's no one's fault. It will happen. It is detrimental to blame the citizens for the failure of leadership, yet that is what we constantly hear from the Board of Health, despite them not following their own rules. This hypocrisy is rampant at all levels from our Board of Health upward. Just yesterday, we learned that Dr. Deborah Birx of the White House Task Force, who is often cited by our own Board of Health, implored us to stay home and away from our family members over Thanksgiving. Yet now we find that she traveled to one of her vacation homes with 4 generations present outside of her household. Our own Board of Health had a similar situation over Thanksgiving. It is long past time for a new direction. We need new leadership from the newly established committee to provide transparency and reassure our public that we can care for them, COVID or not. Too many have missed appointments, screenings, and health maintenance, resulting in a sicker population, not due to COVID itself, but COVID fear and panic. Knox County deserves better. Yes, our hospitals are busy, as they always are this time of year, but the capacity is there. No one has been or will be turned away. Our citizens need to know that instead of a panic-induced message we are constantly hearing. We can do better, we must do better, and we will do better. Dissolve the Board of Health. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Next up to speak at public forum is Casey Field. Casey Field, if you would please state your name and your county of residence. You have 3 minutes to address County Commission.
Hi, my name is Casey Field and I'm here in Knox County. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I would like to speak about the County Commission's current proposal to strip the Board of Health of its ability to set policies and mitigating rules around public health. I'd like to encourage you all to continue to make measured and thoughtful decisions as we continue as a community to walk through this very difficult time together. Given the current state of the health crisis, even if we feel there may be some positive changes that could be made to the public health system when the crisis is over, it seems to me that the best place to focus our energy now is on working together. And that includes, I would hope, our county commission working together with our Board of Health. I'd like to take a moment to remind us that one of the reasons our American system of government has worked so well is because of various built-in checks and balances. One important check exists in the form of appointed professional bodies that provide a counterbalance to our elected bodies. The architects of our American government knew that during times of crisis, when it's absolutely understandable that everyday people like me will have increased fear and anxiety, we need our well-established institutions to act as a backstop against some of our worst impulses and to guide us in a way that is level-headed and insulated from shifting political winds. Right now, we need our Board of Health that was appointed by this commission to shepherd us through this public health crisis. They're experts in their field, and they're bound by high ethical and professional standards to protect the health of our community. I don't know what it's like to have had to make the difficult decisions that you all have had to make over the last 10 months and will have to continue making for the next 6 months. But I would like to encourage you as our elected officials to set our dear community on a bit of a course correction towards unity over division, towards working together for good instead of attacking each other, and towards supporting our Board of Health. I want to assure you that as our elected officials right now, although you may most often hear from people who are at far ends of the political spectrum, who are angry, there are many of us in Knox County who believe that deep down we know how to work together despite our perceived differences, and that there's a way through this crisis where at the end we can be proud of ourselves and know that we did the best we could to take care of each other. Thank you for your time and for your service to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Field. Next up is Mary Linda Schwartzbart. Mary Linda, if you would please state your name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Good evening. My name is Mary Linda Schwartzbart. I'm a lifelong Knox County resident. I vote in every election. I live in Commissioner Kyle Ward's 4th District. Thank you to commissioners and to Chair Jay for providing a safe opportunity to speak, to the commissioners who took time to read and respond to my emails, and to the staff of our Knox County Health Department and Board of Health. Tennessee has become the nation's leader in new COVID cases. This is not a #1 status that I'm proud of. Relying on personal responsibility evidently doesn't seem to be working. You have heard from those who support the Board of Health, from those who do not support it, and from outsiders who oppose any restrictions. I will not repeat anything you've already heard. You see the Knox County COVID numbers increase daily, more deaths, new cases, active cases, more Knox County residents in our hospitals. Another number you may not know. Do you know that Mask Up Knoxville Facebook group has more than 9,300 members who support businesses that require masks? When I have a medical issue, I take my doctor's advice, not that of my best friend or a casual acquaintance or someone with no medical background. We have great medical professionals in our community. I am sure you have access to the best. Whose medical advice do you follow? Do you think as elected commissioners that you should follow the recommendation of our medical team? They see the daily impact of COVID has on our residents of Knox County. How many times did you beg to do something your parents considered harmful for you? Did they let you? Yes, you can cripple the Board of Health, but how will dissolving it help our community to stay as healthy as possible? Will it diminish the daily numbers, lessen the impact on small businesses, frontline workers, hospitals, and the rest of us? What other tools do you have in your toolbox to help those affected by this pandemic? What resources do you have available to help folks who live in Knox County? You have been elected to make good decisions on behalf of all Knox County residents. That's what good leaders do. Or will you continue to watch more of our friends, your constituents whom you were elected to serve, experience the impact of COVID? It is your decision. My friends and I support local, mask-compliant businesses and the Board of Health. Please do not support Commissioner Kyle Ward's resolution to change the Board of Health to an advisory board. Last week, this relevant Merle Haggard classic came to mind. If we make it through December, everything's going to be all right, I know. We will need to make it through a few more months. I want to make it through these next months without experiencing COVID. Do you?
Thank you, Ms. Schwartzbart. Our next block of speakers, just to get ready in the on-deck circle: Charles Albawi, Ashley Capps, Janet, Elisa G. Again, I'm not exactly sure if that's the last name or two different people. Rebecca Saldivar and Laura Branson. We'll next go to Mr. Charles Albawi. Mr. Albawi, if you would please state your name and your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission.
My name is Charles Albawi. I live in Knox County. I would like to thank the commissioners for this opportunity. This is an opportunity for the residents of Knox County to get more involved in how our budget is spent. So let's talk about the Sports Authority. It seems as if you all are just going through the motions, that you have been talking offline about what's going on, and that you really don't want the people's involvement in this matter. But this has united both conservatives and progressives alike to speak out against the waste and mismanagement of taxpayer dollars. We have rights over you. The public has rights over our elected officials. We have rights over how our money is spent. So in the event that you think it is a foregone conclusion that taxpayer dollars will be spent on this, we have organized and we have demands. One of those potential demands is that we own the land on which the stadium is built, and that Mr. Boyd and the Smokies will pay rent and property tax value to us to be put in a fund for free after school and summer school programs for all children in Knox County. We also have other strict conditions and quotas for any contracts that are entered into in regards to the stadium. That's in the event that you assume taxpayer dollars will just be given to the Smokies. We have demands and we are organized. On a second issue, we have the Health Board Advisory. Let's talk about this. You're talking about making a Smokies task force, but you're going to make the Health Board Advisory. So when the people start making demands about the task force, will you make it advisory as well and take away the rights that you claim you are giving us? And let's talk about COVID. 10% of people who get it die. 20% of the people who survive it get a mental illness within 3 months. The more people that get sick, the more people in the hospital, the more they're overwhelmed, the more people die, the more those numbers go up. Let's talk about what your priorities are. Is our priority baseball, or is it helping the people? The public debt you want to issue for the stadium can be issued for programs for small businesses, the middle class, the poor, and the working class alike. but instead you want to give it to one team and one set of developers. But we're not going to have that. We will have a say in how our money is spent and how our contracts are divided. So thank you for this opportunity. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Mr. Albawi. Our next speaker tonight is Mr. Ashley Capps. Mr. Capps, if you would please state your name and county of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Okay, I'm unmuted there. My name is Ashley Capps. I live in Knox County. I'm a Knoxville native. I've been a businessman here for the last 40 years, best known as a concert promoter, but I'm also an investor in some other business, including a restaurant. I'm talking tonight in support of no changes to the Board of Health's authority. It's the wrong time, the wrong move. 3 days ago, I don't know if you noticed, but Forbes magazine, the esteemed business magazine, just cited Tennessee as the #1 riskiest state to visit during Christmas. I don't know if you saw that. You ought to go look for it. The reason is because of the failure of our state's leaders to lead during this crisis. I'm asking all of you, especially all of the members of commission, but really everyone listening to this, to think for a moment about your family, about your friends, your neighbors, your community. Most of them have to work. And I want you to think about their freedom in going to work. The freedom that, they have to go to work to support their families, to support themselves, and they deserve to have the freedom not to be carelessly exposed to the disease while they are working. Their families need to have the confidence that they're working in an environment where they are not going to be needlessly put in jeopardy. This is a pretty common thing in our society because, if you think about the freedom you expect when you say, get on the interstate, you expect that nobody's going to be coming down the same side of the interstate that you're going down in the wrong direction. There are laws against it. It makes the interstate free, and it gives you the freedom to have the confidence that you can drive on it. Sometimes people break the laws, but the reality is the law serves as an effective deterrent and makes the entire system work. Let's talk a minute about our economy. Everyone wants to see our businesses stay open. I don't know anyone that supports a lockdown. And there is now plenty of evidence that consistent protective measures, such as mask mandates, are actually good for the economy, that the communities in which there are mask mandates and protective measures in place, their economies are thriving much beyond other communities in the country. There's research on this. It's easily accessible. I strongly suggest that you research it yourself. It's very important information. So, the Board of Health, I can't imagine the pressure these folks have been under. They've done an outstanding job. And am I running out of time?
You're out of time, Mr. Capps.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have a counter for some reason in front of me. So thank you for this opportunity. Please do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Capps. Our next block of speakers are Janet Grant, Rebecca Saldivar, Laura Branson, Sherry Garrett, and Andrew Flores. If you would be ready, please. Our next speaker is Janet Grant. If you would please say your name and your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Thank you. Janet Grant, Knox County. Good evening, county commissioners, heads of law enforcement, and Knox Countyans. I support our health department and our Board of Health. I support all businesses that enforce mask wearing and social distancing. All of these people are doing their very best to help us live the principles of the volunteer spirit, which has always been about doing right by each other, by our state, by this great country. Here are stories of 3 small businesses that stand for that volunteer spirit and enforce proper masking to serve customers. First, Poke Works in Western Plaza has only been open a couple years, and they're going strong today. Business is so good that they're opening a new location within weeks. Their signature color is even volunteer orange. PokeWorks requires 100% masking and social distancing. Second, who doesn't know Gus's Good Times Deli, a Knoxville institution for 30 years? It's a destination that locals and out-of-towners return to during UT sports and really for any excuse to stop in. Gus's is a huge asset to Knox County. The Hale family carries on Gus's legacy for us. This legendary gathering place makes Knoxville, Knoxville. Gus's belongs to this community. They need our support with full masking to keep their employees safe and to serve their signature sandwiches to future generations. Third, we have Yassine's Falafel House, serving locals and visitors from across this nation in 2 locations. Yassine's team never stops giving back to this community. In return, to protect employees and customers, they require 100% masking. As a recently naturalized American and Tennessean, and as a local leader, Yassine embodies what we, as Tennessee volunteers, are called to do. That's to care for each other. Each customer generates vital economic impact for our county, which then creates new jobs. I believe that COVID-compliant businesses who value safety first will do just that, but only if we all help them serve us. Helping our fellow citizens is the highest imperative for Tennessee volunteers. To do our part, my friends and I support only conscientious businesses, and we hope that exponentially more of you will, starting now. I call on each Knox Countyan to mask up and socially distance, just to simply look after one another. We all want this catch-22 to end. We want to return to the equality of life that we all miss. So let all of us be the ones who lead Tennessee out of infamy at the very top of per capita infections globally as of last week. We are Tennessee volunteers. Let's unite to get this done with that unique volunteer pride that we alone can claim. We can do this, and we must with great urgency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Rebecca Saldivar. Rebecca, are you with us? Rob, do you have anybody named Rebecca Saldivar in the hopper?
We have a Rebecca in the waiting room. It's a Rebecca S.
Yeah,
we can.
You want to admit her?
Sure.
So our next up would be Rebecca Saldivar, Laura Branson, Sherry Garrett, Andrew Flores, Kevin Hill, and Louis Galchi. So Rebecca Saldivar, are you with us? Rebecca Saldivar. There you are. Rebecca,
Hello.
hi.
Yes.
If you would please state your name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission.
My name is Rebecca Saldivar. I'm a small business owner in Knox County. I am speaking briefly today to support no changes to the Board of Health Authority. Just like we regulate people wearing seatbelts, I feel like masks should be regulated, or the Board of Health should be able to regulate masks. I personally feel a lot more comfortable going out if I know I'm going somewhere that people are wearing masks, and I will frequent those places as opposed to other places where people are not wearing masks. Again, I just want to support the no changes to Board of Health Authority. They are doing an incredible service for our community, and I appreciate their service, and I appreciate your service as well. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Saldivar. Our next speaker is Laura Branson. Laura, are you with us? Rob? Do you have a Laura Branson? Going once, going twice?
There's nobody in the waiting room.
Okay, let's skip that for now. Next up is Sherry Garrett. Sherry, are you with us?
Sam.
Jerry, you have, if you would please state your name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Sherry Garrett. I live in Knox County, Tennessee. On March 12th, 2020, Governor Bill Lee essentially declared martial law on the state of Tennessee. I quote, "Today's action will move us into a position to utilize additional emergency funds as needed and relax provisions of certain laws to provide the flexibility needed to respond to this disease." The Knox County Board of Health has declared martial law on the citizens of Knox County. Let me define what martial law is. Martial law exists when military authorities carry on government or exercise various degrees of control over civilians or civilian authorities in domestic territory. Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. Tennessee Constitution Declaration of Rights, Article 1, Section 25. That martial law, in the sense of unrestricted power of military officers or others to dispose of the person's liberties or property of the citizen, is inconsistent with the principles of free government and is not confided to any department of the government of this state. So in our Tennessee Constitution, martial law is in the sense of unrestricted power. Unrestricted power is when there is no vote by our representatives, you. Unrestricted power is when there is no check and balance of power. Many of you don't mind acquiescing to the unlawful exercise of power not granted. I contend you acquiesce because you do not know our history, do not understand why we declared independence, do not understand how abuse of power always escalates and becomes tyrannical and oppressive of rights fought and died for by our forefathers. So in our Tennessee Constitution, martial law is in the sense of, I think I said that already. Even better, our founders were wise enough, having suffered tyranny of the crown, to put in or others. Or others is all persons, including governors, mayors, boards of health, etc., and not just military officers. And our founders declared that conduct inconsistent with the principles of free government and is not confided to any department of the government of this state. I do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Tennessee, and the Charter of Knox County, Tennessee. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office to the best of my ability. Do you remember this oath? You took it the day that you were sworn in as a commissioner. So I ask you today, will you have the courage to stand up for our foundation in the Constitution? Or are you so busy keeping your jobs that you're forgetting to do your jobs? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Our next speaker is Andrew Flores. Mr. Flores, if you would please state your name and your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission. If you would turn there you are.
There I am. It's Andrew Flores, and it's Knox County, Tennessee. First, I want to say thank you to the commissioners for hearing from me, and I want to say Merry Christmas, as this week is Christmas. I do want to talk about Kyle Ward's resolution. I think that it really is the middle ground. This is the middle ground that will unite the two sides. It is not taking away mandates. Mandates will be there. It is shifting the power from the Board of Health to the health officer. In this way, you give accountability to that position. You also give the people an avenue to pursue recourse through the mayor's office if there's an actual reason or if there is actual cause to do that. I hear a lot of people talking about how they think that the Board of Health needs to continue to have that power. And when you look at the Board of Health's power, you think about it and go, it's unconstitutional the way it's set up. It is unchecked and has no balances. And that type of power should not exist for any entity at all, anywhere. And so by bringing this, by voting yes for this resolution, and by bringing the Board of Health into an advisory capacity, you have solved that issue. And then once again, we're not voting on the mandates. Those mandates will be there. We're not voting on the advice that the Board of Health is giving. They are top professionals in their fields and should definitely be giving advice in times of outbreak or pandemic or epidemic. But I believe that you are, in its basic form, solving one issue, which is bringing power under check and bringing an unconstitutional power that an entity has. You're bringing that into a place where the people now have a little more control. Maybe not all the control, but a little more control. And so I do hope that you guys will vote yes on the resolution. And I do believe this really is the middle ground, even if it doesn't appear that way right now. And there's no better time to take up a position on this than right now. No better time to make an unconstitutional position constitutional than right now at this moment. Thank you guys for hearing me, and I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Our next speaker, I'm going to run down the next block: Kevin Hill, Louis Gauchi, Zach Weisfeld, and Kim Fortner, if you would all be ready. Our next speaker is Kevin Hill. Mr. Hill, you have 3 minutes if you would state your name and your county of residence for the record. I do not see Mr. Hill. Do we have a Mr. Hill in the waiting room?
And he just came into the room.
We'll wait till we see his camera. Mr. Hill? I see Louis Gauchi. Mr. Gauchi, we're going to move to you and we'll come back to Mr. Hill when he's ready. If you can turn your camera on. You have, please state your name and address, or excuse me, your name and county of residence for the record. You have 3 minutes to address commission, Mr. Gauchi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Jacobs, Chairman Jay, and commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Louis Gauchi, and I live in Knox County. Americans currently face this microscopic menace with enormous consequences to us all. Regardless of our political views, it is difficult to ignore the health crisis we have raging around us. This Zoom meeting is evidence that COVID poses a dangerous threat. COVID-19 is a worldwide disease, and its devastation has left few places untouched by its effects on public and individual health, the social disruption, and disabling economic impact. Near to us, our Knox County community has certainly felt its impact. Daily statistics convey the horrible toll on all of us. Each of our families and fellow citizens' physical, emotional, and economic well-beings are impacted. This is our ongoing reality. We have been and continue to be affected by this unrelenting disease in many ways. Daily fears and anxieties, illnesses and losses of loved ones, businesses compromised and failed, households in financial crisis, education of our children and grandchildren, trained first responders, municipal and county workers, essential service providers, including healthcare workers. The Knox County Board of Health, with its collective expertise, is also an essential service at this time for making and coordinating responsible policy decisions for Knox County's public health. The Knoxville Board of Health is the current forum to fill this critical function to aid our state and county governments to advise and control this disease. The board can evolve in the arguments about its constitutional status after this crisis. There is no stopgap at this point. Their duties in action are difficult and not taken lightly and have become increasingly burdened. However, it must continue to act on behalf of each of us with intelligent, comprehensive responses, implementing informed regulations to safeguard the health for all citizens of Knox County based on data, science, and common sense. Some believe it imposes burdens with regulations. This point is understandable. These burdens are felt differently by all, but intended to safeguard the entire community. I know each of us feel our personal lives and circumstances have been and continue to be impacted by regulations. It's in these times that our morals are tested, but within the fundamental teachings of many of our faiths, caring for all of our community is well-founded. Now is the time for it to be strengthened and practiced. We rack and know our lives have changed because of this disease and will continue to do so. A community-based, informed, and organized overview will help us enable us to care for ourselves and our community. This is the role of the Board of Health. I urge consideration of each Knox County Commissioner to retain and maintain the Board of Health to work for our entire community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gauci. Our next speaker is Kevin Hill. Mr. Hill, you have 3 minutes. If you would please state your name and your county of residence for the record.
Kevin Hill, Knox County. Tonight will likely be one of the most significant votes of your tenure as an elected official. You are confronted with a hard decision. Some of you are set, and whether you like the vote you have chosen is nonetheless the one you believe is necessary. Based on your opinion, your open deliberations over these many months, I suspect the commissioners who I sent this email to, I should say, who have that resolve and have their opinions set, I'm in agreement with for a variety of reasons, not all the same motivations. But there are some of you who have not formed a finalized opinion, and you have expressed that they aren't pleased with the structure of the Board of Health and its powers under the law, and how decisions are being made. But they also are conflicted about removing a board of professionals they believe to be acting in good faith for the well-being of the county. I and many others have been before you attempting to undermine that last belief because we no longer agree the board is operating for the good of the county. We believe they are manipulated by other factions, spoon-feeding them only one version of data and policy, such that they are driven to action, the actions they take. We believe there is an egregious money trail that exposes the corruption of institutional self-interest that can exploit plausible deniability to protect itself. We can quote to you Dr. Fauci himself from July stating that PCR tests with cycle thresholds above 35, which our health department director has repeatedly called the gold standard, are useless, that's Dr. Fauci's words, in determining an infection by a virus. All of this may be true, and it has no bearing on why you should vote yes in support of Commissioner Ward's ordinance tonight. Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, in reference to executive orders, has stated, government is not free to disregard the First Amendment in times of crisis. It goes on to say other things, but that's the heart of it. I think it's more than just the First Amendment. I think it's all of them. Beyond the federal Constitution, our Tennessee state constitution states in Section 2, the government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of the non-resistance against arbitrary power and operation is absurd, slavish, and destructive for the good and happiness of mankind. Section 21 says that no man's particular services shall be demanded or properly taken or applied to public use without the consent, and people staying at home to protect the public is public use. Shall without just compensation being made. Is the Board of Health paying these people that they're putting out of work? The result of the actions of Knox County Board of Health have demanded the services of men and women across the county. When a single mom who depends on tips to provide for her children is unable to serve a larger number of tables because of capacity limits, then her services are effectively demanded of her. This might be because her employer has reduced staff, but it is ultimately the actions of the board that have created this situation. It is one thing.
Mr. Hill, please wrap up your comments. Your time has passed.
Each of you have taken an oath to defend the Constitution of our nation. This is your time to stand and defend it. Not only our nation, but our state. There's so much more. I hope you read the email I sent you.
Thank you. I'm going to take 2 more speakers before we break and then go into zoning. For anybody who is still on the list that I have not gotten to yet, please hang with us. We will return to this right after our zoning meeting. The next 2 speakers are going to be Zach Weisfeld and Kim Fortner. Mr. Weisfeld, are you with us? I see you. If you turn your camera on, and if you would please state your name and your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Sure thing. My name is Zach Weisfeld, and I am a resident of Knox County. And I'd really like to thank Commission for the opportunity to speak today. As the prior speaker pointed out, this is pretty important. I'm not sure it's all that important constitutionally, but it is important to our county and our community. I'm speaking today in strong support of the Knox County Board of Health. I'm a business owner I'm a husband, I'm a parent, and the Board of Health's ability to mandate our public health policy is key. It's key to keeping my business open, it's key to keeping my kids' schools open, and it's key to keeping the health of our community intact. Those who want to eliminate the board's public health authority are either ignorant or have an ideological axe to grind. But don't believe for a second that those calling to undermine the authority of the board have our best interests at heart, because they don't. They don't. The board is made up of medical professionals and members of our community who care about us and are doing their best to keep us safe, keep us healthy, and keep us working. So I encourage all of you to please continue your support for the Board of Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weisfeld. Next up is Kim Fortner. Kim Fortner, if you'll turn your camera on, thank you. If you would please state your name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission. You are muted still. It may be headphones or something. We are not hearing you, but we are seeing you. Sorry, we can't hear you, but we can see you. Do you want to? Okay, I'm sorry. If you could.
Says the audio is connecting.
Okay, try it again. Welcome to 20. Maybe the headphone connection or something, but we have no audio on you. So if you want to hang with us, we will come back and put you at the top of the list. We have one more speaker we can put in before our break. Debbie Stafford, are you with us? You were on the list earlier and then got moved back, and you may be back with us.
I am here.
If you would please state your name, your county residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm Debbie Stafford, and I live here in Knox County. And I want to thank you for having me and apologize to those at the press room. I haven't been able to go because I had to stay late and treat some COVID patients. I'm running behind tonight. I wanted to start first by thanking the gentleman that felt he needed to call names to those of us who disagree. And secondly, I would like to read Tennessee Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, that government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. Now, I'm not overtly against the Board of Health. As a healthcare professional, I appreciate them. What I'm against is the arbitrary power. For those like me who didn't exactly know what arbitrary meant, I went and looked it up. Arbitrary means based on random choice or personal whim rather than by any reason or system. What you all do as county commissioners is based on a system of our county codes. It's based on our county charter. It's based on the state constitution. What the Board of Health is doing is literally arbitrary. They may pass or demand whatever they wish with no accountability under the law. For each of you commissioners that fail to resist this oppression of arbitrary power, per the state constitution, it's absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of our Knox County. I don't say this, our state constitution says this. Also, the Knox County Charter in section 1.05, rights reserved to the people. No provisions of this charter and no action by any officer of employee or employee of the county acting under its authority shall infringe upon rights, privileges, and powers now or hereafter reserved or guaranteed to individual persons, which are the people by the Constitution of the United States of America or the Constitution of the State of Tennessee. Again, our own charter states that none of you may have arbitrary power over any citizen, individually or collectively. So each of you as commissioners are directly responsible for resisting arbitrary board that has random choice or personal whim over our county. An arbitrary board mandating penalties of law is literally a definition of a fascist action. What is fascism? It's an autocratic government which seeks to silence dissenting thought, whose decisions are subject to neither external legal constraints nor regularized mechanisms of popular control. The action before each of you tonight has nothing to do with anything beyond, do you continue to support an autocratic, arbitrary board, or do you support a free government with checks and balances in place accountable to the people? Voting to dial back an autocratic, arbitrary board is an act to protect our rules of laws and government. I find it interesting, someone earlier quoted Merle Haggard.
Complete your comments. Your time is up.
Merle Haggard, yet I starved myself to death trying to keep my family fed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Stafford. We're going to do one last try with audio from Ms. Fortner, and then we will take a break. Ms. Fortner, do you want to try one more time? And if not, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Okay, if you would please state your name and your county residence, and you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the second opportunity. I apologize. So first, thank you so much to our elected county officials for their service and their communication, as well as efforts to protect the Knox County citizens. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for your visit to UT Medical Center and for your brave post regarding the reality of sick inpatients open to COVID use. We're more concerned than ever by the increasing numbers of COVID infection. These impact our clinical lives on a daily basis. We have seen avoidable closures and consequences of rising numbers. I heard some conversation of capacity not being an issue, but it's only not an issue because we continue to make decisions to change around practice patterns and care patterns and delay surgeries that can be delayed until later. These impact the lives of all of our family members, friends, and community members. At this point, our healthcare workers and our healthcare system are both pushed to the brink of capacity. While we're eager for the vaccine that will end the pandemic, we also request that we continue to listen to the Tennessee Board of Health and trust those non-elected public health and medical teammates. Thank you for your time and for the second opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Fortner. I'm going to now just read off the names that are still in the waiting room that we will come back to at public forum. I appreciate everybody's patience, but we do need to recess this meeting to go to zonings. So I'm just going to read the names. These are the people we will come back to: Nikki Zeit, Patty King, Phil King, Robert Thomas, Sarah Thomas, Eric Wader, Lillian Mashburn, Lisa Taylor, Gary Comer, Lucille Griffo, Linda Fitzpatrick, Emily Roberts, Naomi Elliott, Kevin Desmond, Elise Denany, Lindsey Bryan, Connor Coffey, and Tanner Jessel. Those will be our public forum list when we return. We will take a break. We will putting this meeting in recess, and then we will jump over to the zoning meeting. We'll start the zoning meeting at 7:10. So if you would, Knox County IT, tell our zoning participants that we will start at 7:10. This meeting is now in recess.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Will we need to log out of here and go to the zoning meeting and then come back?
Correct. So they will keep correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but you will keep this meeting live. We will log out of it. We will go back into the zoning meeting, log in, and then we will come back to this afterwards. Is that correct? That's how I understood it.
So we need to go to the zoning link now.
We're going to try and leave this meeting open and then move to the zoning link that's been provided to everybody. We'll carry that stream live and then come back to this one when zoning concludes.
Yes, you will leave this and we'll see you at a couple.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.